welcome to the Onyx Pathcast. My name is Matthew Dawkins, and I am accompanied by Eddy Webb.
Hello.
And Dixie Cochran.
I'm not near you. I'm not accompanying you.
Well, in cyberspace, if you like. If you want, if you want to get late 90s about it.
I was to say, get back on the information highway.
Yeah.
The information superhighway.
Oh, my apologies. I did not give it its correct declarative.
Currently with me on the net are Eddy Webb.
Pew, 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 pew.
Remember to visit us on http://www.theonyxpath. Anyway. How are you two today?
I'm doing good.
You weren't expecting such kindness from me.
Yeah, I don't know what to say right now. I'm okay. Hanging out.
I got my Nintendo Switch. I'm happy.
Yeah, so what games are you going to be playing on the Switch then, Eddy?
Right now, I am deep into my Fire Emblem Three Houses play. I'm playing Black Eagles, for those that care about these things.
I just finished my second playthrough last night.
Sweet. Yeah, you did the alternate... No, Blue Lions.
I did Alt Black Eagles first, and then I did Blue Lions as of yesterday.
Sweet.
I finished it. But now I'm going to take a break to be a horrible goose. And also play Night in the Woods.
I've heard about the Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled Goose Game looks delightful. Have you seen this, Matthew?
Yes, I have. Well, I've heard of it, and I saw a few screen captures. I've not actually seen it in action.
Yeah. For all of our listeners that don't know, there's a game on Switch and PC called Untitled Goose Game. And the tagline is like, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and you are a horrible goose. And you just play a goose that is harassing human beings. Or, like, preventing them from doing something fun. Like, one of the things in the preview video shows, like, a kid who wants his soccer ball, and you could just, like, push it away from him. So essentially it's a game about just being annoying.
Yeah, it appeals to me on a level I never even knew existed.
You know, it for years I have friends that have like Goat Simulator and all those kind of weird like games that aren't maybe games but are kind of just surreal and fun. Mm-hmm. And I've never really wanted one of them, but I saw this one and I was like, well, there's at least like a gameplay element to it. And that you're trying to bother people. And also one of our friends gifted me with Night in the Woods, which I've heard is a fun autumn kind of game. So since autumn just happened, I'm going to play that. Absolutely. And then probably Three Houses again.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about Night in the Woods.
Same.
Well...
What are you playing, Matthew?
What am I playing? I am playing a lot of Mario-based games right now, and it does seem to be de rigueur these days to poo-poo the Mario franchise, much like other, I guess, signature console characters. Because
I heard Odyssey was really good.
Well, yeah, Odyssey is fantastic. It's got some of the best level design and puzzles I have found in a platformer. Really? It's graphically, I would say it's much the same as you were probably finding on the Wii U, but just from sheer playability, I'm finding myself going back to it again and again. My son loves it. He will play it for a little while, but most of the time he will just then hand me the controllers and tell me where to find various moon fragments and to go into this green pipe or that green pipe. But yeah, he got very scared of King Bowser recently. He really just got into it. King Bowser was throwing his hat at me, as you do in Mario Odyssey. Right. And Edwin was really sort of up against me, very, very scared. Oh, throw it. And then when I beat him, of course, Bowser, not Edwin. Edwin was I'm not an angry goose.
That's a good clarification.
Yeah. The relief was palpable. So that Mario Kart, Octopath Traveler, there's a whole bunch. I'm only a recent Switch owner, but I've been out of console gaming for quite some time, despite having a PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I just don't really get to play on them, but for whatever reason the Switch has hit the right buttons for me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I've been torn on whether. So I've got a $50 gift card for the Nintendo shop, and I've been torn on whether I want Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, so I can play with you, Matthew, and also with my boyfriend and everything, or Breath of the Wild, because I've never really been a Zelda fan. My boyfriend is, so I'm like, maybe it's like, I keep hearing like, oh, it's the best Zelda game ever, and I'm like, okay, but I haven't played the other ones. I tried to play like one on the DS once, and I was confused.
So as much as I think you should buy a Mario Kart, because my Mario Kart is, that's redundant. My Mario Kart game is on the way to me soon, so we could all play online if you got Mario Kart.
Oh my god, can we do a live stream with all three of us playing Mario Kart against each other?
Yes.
Why not? Let's just make that happen.
That sounds really fun.
But that being said, my roommate David is a huge Zelda fan. Like, he's getting Zelda tattoos. He's really into it.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he told me that Breath of the Wild is very Skyrim-y.
See, I keep hearing that too, and I'm like, well, that's fine. Like, if it's like Skyrim, it's just, I guess what I need to research is it an okay entry point for Zelda games? Because in my house growing up, we were a Mario and Donkey Kong household. We were never a Zelda or Final Fantasy household. So I didn't get into those until I was an adult.
So I haven't played it much. I do have Breath of the Wild on my Switch, but it, for me, seems a pretty simple game to access. Certainly there's no heavy storyline or anything like that you need to have grasped beforehand. All the Zelda games are pretty much independent of each other, and not to be too critical of Zelda, because obviously it is a very popular franchise. The plots usually revolve around the world is about to be destroyed, collect these items to stop it, or the princess has been kidnapped, collect these items to stop Ganon, the bad guy.
My God, Matthew, why are you so critical of Zelda games?
I know. That's us losing our Nintendo sponsorship to continue that through line.
Friend,
Maybe it's such a plug for him too. But,
friend of the cast, Sean, works at Nintendo. Like, we could have been like on our way to try to get some cool swag, but here you are.
Well, friend of the cast, Sean, if that is your name, have a word with the legal department. Let's get in touch. Let's start licensing The Legend of Zelda to make the tabletop RPG set in Hyrule. Make it so.
The best part about this entire conversation is it has nothing to do with our topic today.
No. Our topic today is, well, this is an interview. Easy for me to say. After you, Eddie.
Huh?
Okay, well, thank you for throwing back to me there, Mr. Webb.
I didn't know what was happening. I just heard muttering and then my name. I was very confused.
I could edit that out, but I'm not going to, because people like it raw, as Gordon Ramsay would say. Or wouldn't say. Today we are interviewing, and by we, I use the royal we. I am interviewing the fine folks of Red Moon Roleplaying. Now, that may be a surprise to some listeners, well, those of you who haven't actually checked the title out of this episode, because it should be fairly obvious. But if you didn't check the title out and you just have this on some weird autoplay thing, it may seem quite weird to you. But Red Moon Roleplaying are an any award-winning role-playing game, actual play podcast. I'm sure there's a shorter way of saying that.
No,
and
you got to say the whole thing every time you talk to them.
I will. And they have fantastic editing skills. They really hone the production values of an actual play to make them listenable. And that may sound rather simplistic, but it isn't. Some people really struggle to listen to people playing role-playing games, but Red Moon Role-Playing manufacture them in such a way after they've been produced that they're more like audio dramas than anything else. And I've had the pleasure of running a few games for them now. So, yeah, I will be going off to interview some of the guys from the podcast.
Bye.
Oh, I'll do it now then, shall I? All right, okay, I've got my bags back. I'll see you later. I see the bus is waiting outside. No, don't go. And we're back, which is an odd thing to say for my guests because they had never been here before. Just to clue everyone in who's listening, we record intros and outros to these things separately, and so we always say things like, and we're back, or and we're here, despite the fact that the people we're with now have no frame of reference. So now they do have a frame of reference, and following that awkward segue, I'd like to introduce the audience to the fine fellows of Red Moon Roleplaying. Hello.
Hello.
Guys.
Hey.
Well, what?
It's great to be here. I mean, I've been listening to this show for quite a while now, so it's an honor to be here, Matthew. Thank you for inviting us on.
Oh, that's quite all right. You'll know then that this show tends to be fairly ramshackle, amateurish, but it's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of heart, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
It certainly does.
The vampires.
And you always go into every episode like, this is going to be the one where you get everything right, and then it just falls to pieces after like 10 seconds. Usually around the time when you start speaking for some reason. I'm not exactly sure how that's connected with things, but it seems to be some kind of coincidence.
Well, I'm glad we've got that reputation, and I am the agent of chaos. It seems on the podcast. I don't know who would be law and who would be balance there. What do you think?
I mean, definitely chaos. That's you. I don't know. I think Eddy's always pretty much on point, and then it's really you, man. I think it's.
I'm just a dissenter.
No, but you're also really, really delightful to listen to, and your British dry sense of humor really comes across great to us.
Well, we'll end this interview here because it can't get any better than that.
Hey, thank you.
So I should be polite enough to say the person you've been hearing is Mattiaz of Red Moon Roleplaying, and there's another two members of the crew who will introduce themselves in time. But Mattiaz, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and your role in the Red Moon Roleplaying setup.
All right, yeah, so I'm Mattiaz. I am Swedish originally, but I live in Japan. I've been here for the last decade now. And I was one of the founders of Red Moon Roleplaying, which is an actual play podcast that stays in character and focuses on immersion and atmosphere, and we tend to play a lot of games set in dark worlds, focus on horror. We've done a lot of Kult, vampire, those kinds of games, and turns out that it's been a great podcast to have Matthew on, because there's a lot of darkness within you, so you fit in really, really well. And so we've been doing this show for a few years now. Me and Craig and Hjalmar, and my role is I've been GM, and then for our Kult campaign, and then I'm joining in as players, and I think we're alternating roles really. In one campaign you'll be the player, and the next one you'll be the GM. We do everything, all of us in the podcast. We do the editing, we do the whole thing, and that's I think why it works so great, because we're all pulling an equal amount of weight in this endeavor that we have done.
Well, let's see if our next guest disagrees with the equal amount of weight claim. Craig, do you feel that there is a balance here, or is this... See, I am an agent of chaos, aren't I? I'm trying to stir something up.
Well, I, Craig Austin, also of Red Moon Roleplaying, an Englishman myself, would say we do try to keep the balance, but maybe sometimes external forces get in the way to disrupt the balance, and the angels and demons have to fight until the balance is restored.
Or you have a flair for the dramatic.
Thank you. I do try. Yes, I play on Red Moon Roleplaying. Sometimes I DM, hopefully to an average standard. I do a bit of acting and writing on the side, which helps with all the silly voices I do, or try and do. And yes, I'm terrible with self-intros.
That's absolutely fine. And that leaves us with, last but definitely not least, Hjalmar.
Yes.
Who the hell are you?
I am the guy whose name you have learned to pronounce very beautifully. That was absolutely correct.
Well, Mattiaz did just say it about 2 minutes ago, so it was lodged firmly in my mind. I'll forget it by the next time we're playing together.
Yes, I think Craig will get it right at one point as well.
That Hjalmar is the H. You can't forget the H. Hjalmar, where's the H in Hjalmar?
Okay, it feels like an honorable mention of the age. I'm the man with the right age, apparently. Sweet. Yes, educated musical theater actor. That's what I am. And,
are you just shouting out words right now?
Yes, that I am. I got very nervous. And some came out, and you take what you will from that. I studied Japanese with Mattiaz once upon a time, and he went to Japan. I stayed behind and became super artistic, and somehow ended up in London, found Craig. Mattiaz reconnected, and we started up Red Moon Roleplaying. And it's, I would say, fairly balanced. At this point, I have still not GM'd, but I do help with artwork, and I do now edit our main campaigns.
Not to forget the amazing sound effect editing that is all Hjalmar.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I do enjoy that. That's a lot of fun. Also, cutting together things dramatically, which you actually have not said, that's a lot of fun.
Well, I noticed.
So he's a talented musician, playwright, carer of animals.
Yes, come to see me play Geppetto in Pinocchio down in southeast London, playing now. I also have friendly mutton chops for that particular role.
And how long is your theatrical run of Pinocchio?
It's running until the 20th of October. After that, we shall endeavor into something a lot more disturbing, frightening short play night, which will be going for 2 weekends in November. It's going to be very disturbing, probably. And yes, if I know this audience correctly, I might enjoy it. So if you're in London, have a look out for Frighteners down in Sydenham in November.
Fantastic. Okay, well, in that case, I don't need to ask about how the three of you met because you have succinctly answered that question. But one thing I am interested to know, because while we have played several games together now, I don't really know the three of you personally. I don't know how you really got into the hobby or what your preferred games are. So simple questions that they are that no doubt come up in interviews time and time again for the benefit of the audience. Let's go back round to Mattiaz. How did you get into tabletop role-playing in the first place? Or are you more of a LARPer? And what were your go-to games and what are they now?
Yeah, so when I first began, it was back in the 90s. Role-playing games there was a huge boom of role-playing games in Sweden back in the 80s and the early 90s. The main game that we have there is called Drakar och Demoner, which sounds like Dungeons and Dragons, and it was kind of meant to kind of capture the same kind of generic high fantasy, but it's a BRP based game, and it's sold really, really well. It's one of the best selling games, I think, historically, or like looking back. It's one of the ones that have done the absolutely best, even though it was only sold in Swedish to what is a very small audience. So it was role playing games back then were huge. So I, of course, also started playing that. I got into the PC games, the Black Isle, Baldur's Gate, Planescape Torment, those games, and found out about Dungeons and Dragons from there. And then I guess that was around the time that Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition came out, and it's basically that's how it started. But pretty quickly, I moved from fantasy over into Kult and the original version of Kult, the 1991 version, and found just how enjoyable it was to be able to play in our world and to play darker and grimmer stories, and I've stuck with that ever since. That's, I think, where my love for horror games comes from.
What about you, Craig?
I feel I actually started proper tabletop role-playing games quite late, because for a very long time I had no one to play them with, and I only understood the basics of them for quite some time. I went into stores and looked at the books. I used to find, especially old-style Dungeons & Dragons, interesting when it came to the video games, but too complicated. When I was 11 years old, I was like, what? +2 and the 10? And I don't understand any of this. It sounds fun to play, but I could never run it. So I didn't. My first experiences with role-playing were actually internet forum-based. The very first game, I think, when I went to university that I was playing online, that was a game called Urban Dead, which I think still runs, I think. It was a very point-and-click online. You're either a survivor or a zombie. Zombies kill survivors. If you die, you turn into a zombie. You then kill survivors. Survivors can find weapons, build up houses. It's like basically it's a free MMO type thing, and that's the game. While I was playing this game,
like DayZ.
Yeah, but like a proper it's all just like text on screen type version.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of pictures, like it's no actual graphics. But you could chat in that game, and what happened was the original website had a fan fiction section, and I started reading some fan fiction of people talking about their characters in the game. And I then realized I was near these characters. Like, I actually went to the place of the building they were talking about in the game and watched them in-game role-playing. And I went, this is fun. I'll join in. And I did. And that was, that was like proper just, like, I say this to you, you say this to me, I pretend to throw a punch at you, or it hits you. But, no rules at all. But that, I think, was the first time. And then that moved on to, if you're familiar... MUDs, multi-user dungeon games.
Yeah.
I moved on to the Iron Realms, Aetolia. That's the one that's still I think they're the most popular. Where it's like basically an online RPG, but it's all text and you can roleplay if you want. And I moved on to that for a few years, joining in those games. After a time, I started getting a bit bored of this is basically just an MMO, like. The role-playing level being like, I am the king of everything and you will all obey me. I don't want to obey you. Combat initiated, start fighting. I lost out of character. That was so unfair, that sort of role-play. And then I moved on to the RPIs, which were the ones that actually said, no, you have to role-play in this game. This is a role-playing game. It's got some computer code, but if you don't role-play, staff will, you get in trouble. And they were a lot of fun. Because that was like, how to describe it? It's that thing where it's like, imagine if the DM is there 24/7, or someone being a DM, and you and 7, 8, 9 other 10, sometimes 10, 15 people can all just role play as long as you want. Now there are problems with that, of course. Number one, when the DMs aren't there, like. You're basically in these worlds where nothing actually can happen, and you can go and fight each other and chat. But if you want cool stuff to happen, it's like we have to wait for the DM to come back, so you just wait. But I played one called Armageddon online back in the day. That was so fun because you could permanently die, and you had secrets. People had secrets, so you could get involved in these things. Whereas, like, I had a character who was in this merchant caravan scene, and it was like. Did you tell Lord so-and-so about this? I was like, yes, I did. Why the fuck would you do that? You've just ruined years of planning. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then a guy came in from behind. Another player just came in, like, because in that sort of game, it was like the bearded man enters the room. The armored man enters the room. So this bearded man comes in. The person shouting at me looks at him, emotes, I look at him, I look at you. Oh, I'm sorry, you've just seen too much. He had this dagger ability, like an assassin dagger ability. It was used on my end of the game. It's like, you've just been stabbed twice. You're dead. Game over. And that was the end of that. I was like, I never knew what happened. Because, again, you couldn't, just respawn. Like, that was it. I had to be a new character. I would never know the consequences. I would never know what had happened. And funnily enough, it was amazing. I was like, what just happened? That was great. I just got murdered. And apparently, years later, someone... on a forum did mention because it's okay to I think someone said they did find your body in a ditch somewhere one day. Yeah.
It seems appropriate.
Yeah. And there we go. And then from there, finally, thanks to Red Moon Roleplaying and some other games, I did get into more traditional tabletop role-playing games.
So yeah, well, that kind of lethality is quite common in Nordic LARPs, and obviously it's a very different medium. But I agree, it can lead to a great sense of satisfaction if you know that you are dead and your death is going to have some kind of meaning to the plot. It could be small, could be large, but yeah, that mystery is quite enticing. Where it actually feels like a living world, and that your death has some kind of purpose, even if it is just you've seen too much. So yeah, I quite like the sound of that. I probably wouldn't do it myself. I had my share of that kind of thing with EVE Online, betraying guilds and the like that I was working for,
in
and,
EVE Online,
getting blown up.
I was in EVE Online. It's a whole different ball game. There's actual politicians and bankers, actual corporate espionage. Yeah.
So what about you, Hjalmar?
Well, my role-playing has been very much sort of coming and going as I grew up. I was introduced to it when I was like 8, perhaps. A few friends were playing, and I never really got a group. I thought it sounded amazing, and I instead was sort of playing on my own, finding computer games like Fallout series, Neverwinter Nights, stuff like that, Baldur's Gate things. And I wanted to roleplay so badly that whenever I had a friend who played a game like Diablo with me, I'm like, can we stay in character, please? And quite being a pest there. But, you know, like...
Yeah, Diablo was always a rather hollow experience in that regard, wasn't it?
Exactly. So I'm going to be a sorceress. Now I'm just going to talk like the sorceress. Doesn't even... Yeah, that's all you get. That's all you get. But eventually I found a really good role-playing group in my military service. It's some really great fond memories there with some medics. We always sort of pushed the amount of hours we could stay awake until we had to get back up at 6 a.m. in the morning and do exercises. It was so good. And moved to London a lot later, being inspired, I think, from role-playing to pursue the actor's career. And yeah, super happy here to have found the group that Craig was playing in. And found that I didn't have time for that, unfortunately. When I actually had found a group that I could play with, suddenly I was too busy. And so when Mattiaz came with the idea of starting a role-playing podcast, sort of just playing from home, but trying to make something really good and serious out of it, I just lunged at it, and it's been such a rewarding experience, so much fun. I think that kind of sums it up.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I got to ask Mattiaz, actually, as you mentioned Black Isle. This is a complete off-the-wall, off-chance thing. Did you happen to frequent the Black Isle forums back when they existed?
I don't think no, and I might have gone past there, but I wasn't much of a forum person back then. No, but you were there. I guess.
That was probably my introduction to role playing, was actually on the Black Isle forums, because I've told the tale many times, but I only really got into tabletop RPGs through Baldur's Gate, and looking up a Baldur's Gate website when I was at college. And the librarian came up behind me, grabbed my hand while it was on the mouse. His hand was warm, sweaty and pudgy, guided the cursor to the web address and told me to type in, I think it was Shadow Force Archer or something like that. It was a spycraft related website. But yeah, he introduced me to role-playing from that. But I had been doing online role-playing on the Black Isle forums, doing some Forgotten Realms games where we were all playing deities. It was completely without rules, all freeform. But anyway, this isn't about me. So Red Moon Roleplaying, your show, has of course won an Eddy award, which is pretty damn impressive.
Thank you.
And yeah, well, all kudos to you. It is a fantastic show. And for anyone who hasn't listened to Red Moon Roleplaying before, we've already given a brief rundown of what your show entails, but do any of you have some kind of mission statement or a way you would describe what your goal is for each show?
I feel Mattiaz definitely has one go. Mattiaz.
Well, I think it's what we wanted to do with Red Moon Roleplaying was to. One of the reasons I came back into role-playing games, because I'd been in this long sort of deep freeze during university and starting to work, and during those years, at least for me, it was difficult to first of all find a group and then find time for role-playing. So when I then discovered actual play podcasts and discovered that you could actually listen to other people play and you could actually experience these role-playing campaigns that you had always wanted to play but knew that you would never get the time to play. You could actually experience them while you're doing the dishes or you're, mowing the lawn or whatever it is. You could actually get role-playing back into your life. So I really loved the fact that actual play podcasts existed and really listened to quite a few of them. But one thing that I felt with pretty much everything that I listened to was that so many of them leaned very, very heavily into comedy and humor. And it was very different from the style of play that I had with my group when I was playing during my teens, where we were trying to do sort of what we're doing in Red Moon Roleplaying, where we're trying to stay in character. We're trying to treat the source material as though it is a serious drama. This is a real story we're telling here. We're not gonna make meta jokes and just laugh around. I mean that can be fun too, but there's something really cool about like really going into your character, really kind of getting that bleed going. The role-playing games can be so powerful when you get that. So we wanted to bring that kind of experience to actual play podcasts because we didn't really feel like there was anyone that was doing that. And we felt, I certainly felt that was something that, especially for horror games, it can really help elevate actual plays of those kinds of games quite a bit, because you can actually legitimately create a feeling of dread, of horror. It's a little bit more difficult to do that if you add a bunch of jokes. So that was what we wanted to try and do. We wanted to see if there was other people who wanted to listen to that kind of show, and we've been very positively surprised and happy to see that yes, there are people who actually enjoy to get their role playing served in that particular flavor. And
And so we try to make sure to always dual wield Desert Eagle magnums to keep you in that teenage style that you used to play.
That was
jumping sideways whilst firing.
I mean, The Matrix came out around the time when I was playing Kult, so you can imagine that there was The Matrix and Snatch, the movie Snatch, right? There was a lot of dual wielding of Desert Eagles back then. A little bit less of that now, I would say, but
yeah.
It seems the fantasy element of gunplay has gone away slightly, except with John Wick. Maybe John Wick, there'll be an RPG based on those movies, and it will all come back. We can live in hope. It's always Keanu Reeves, isn't it? He's got something to do with it.
Exactly.
So, on the subject of immersion and bleed, that's a good question, because people are going to be listening and then they've heard some of the games that you have played or ran. Which of the games that you've played do you feel have had the biggest effect on you as players, and not necessarily left you feeling morose or shattered or anything like that, but even through the experience of play itself, which ones do you feel you have been most impacted by? And I guess I open this up to the room, whoever speaks first.
Well, I feel I'll go with the obvious answer first. Kult. It's not only our show that we started with, and I still feel it's some of our best content. As a game, it's just a great game. It's a perfect mixture of horror elements that I enjoy, and also I really when I started playing tabletop role-playing games, proper ones, I wasn't actually that interested in things like Dungeons & Dragons at first. I was like, that looked fun, and especially 5th edition, I was like, this is fun, I enjoy this. But for me, it was more things like World of Darkness, and games that looked like they had sort of like a dark edge to them, including, of course, Dark Heresy. because I saw the title and was like, "Ooh, what's this? Dark Heresy? That sounds dark." But I then.
It is a gripping pair of words there, isn't it? Dark and heresy.
Exactly. I was like 19, 20 years old. I was like, oh yeah, look at this. And you look at the artwork on that first cover, and I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, and the book is mostly black as well.
But then I really liked a game called when Dungeon World came out. I saw that being on a YouTube channel, actually, some people playing it. I thought, wow, what's this style of game where it's all about the players make things up? What? This isn't how those games are played. It's all like the DM has all the notes behind his screen and the players do as they're told. or not. And then and now the whole bunch of those games, the Powered by the Apocalypse games, the narrative story games have now, in the last, I think, 5, 7, 8, 9 years, like really started coming to their fore. And so then Kult is one of those. It's a horror game with then the rules being very, it's all about what your characters want to do, and most of it's just narrative. You don't need to worry about how far away the gun is or if you can jump the building. It's all just like narrative. And so for me, that of the games we played, that one is the one that resonates the most, I feel.
And I think, speaking of that, the campaign that we played there, the Black Madonna, I mean, it was the first project we took on, and it was something that we were fully focused on. We weren't doing anything except for the Black Madonna. And I began that during, I was on paternity leave, so I had a lot of time to also really think about this, like all day long, basically. So I put a lot of my soul as a GM into that one, and doing tons of research, like reading up about Berlin in the 90s, about Moscow and the fall of the Soviet Union. It was a lot of effort that was put into it. So the whole journey that we took there with the characters, it really is something that I think will always stay with me. And the ending and how we wrapped that up, and like feeling just how emotional I was there when we had the last session and we had the last few lines delivered. I'm not sure if we will be able to fully replicate that, because the first campaign will always be the first. But I think to me that's the one that will always probably stay as the most powerful experience I've had with Red Moon Roleplaying. But hey, let's see. There might be something more exciting.
Well, yeah. Now you've thrown down the gauntlet. I have to somehow. I will break you.
Well, without spoiling things, you've already come quite close. In something. Yeah.
I mean, yes. Oof, yeah, that's intense. If you're talking about that stuff that Matthew's leading us through.
You can spoil it a little.
Well, in that case, then playing through the Summit, written by Mr. Dawkins. I'm quite traumatized. That's half the. It's only a few sessions. I'm traumatized for life.
It's great. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I don't hold out much hope for your character, Craig.
I might be able to take some people down with me. That's all I want now.
Hey, you got your kid, right?
But yeah, Hjalmar, though, what your thoughts on your
It's a tricky question, because I'm a very much sort of the freshest memory that I have is the most powerful one. So I mean, what we're doing now with Clara and you, Matthew, is amazing. My character is in a very sort of weak position there, and I was crying a few sessions in. It was great.
It was great.
Sounds great.
That's what we play, right? That's what we play. Get it all out. I don't know, but also thinking of for some reason, just it comes up in my mind the They Came From Beneath the Sea campaign. I don't know why. It's just that playing that character was a lot of fun, and I think it messed me up in a very good kind of way.
Yeah, that was an interesting. It was an interesting game, and I say that obviously as the director, the story guide, but it was the first real foray into They Came From as a horror game. And while there were certainly light-hearted elements or farcical elements in there that would have been present in any sci-fi or horror movie of that era, the general sense of desperation that the three of you managed to get across through your characters was palpable. It did feel like there was a loss at the end, and especially for the homegrown characters that Mattiaz and the Hjalmar were playing, the locals essentially, the feel of, this is my town and look what's become of it.
Yeah, exactly. Just the small town idea, and the idea of, sort of everyone you meet, and then you see how they have been changed. It does something. It emotionally, it's not like you're diving into something new, but you're rather like you're coming home, but everything is wrong kind of feel.
Well, here's a question then, one you probably don't get asked often. Are there any games, and they don't have to be Onyx Path ones, but they can be, that absolutely don't interest you? They're sorts of RPGs that you just don't feel inclined to do an actual play of, because the subject matter doesn't appeal, maybe you don't like the genre.
Well, there are sort of role-playing games which are really sort of slice of life style of kind of games, isn't it? Like that they don't escalate, and you just living in an alternate reality, those kinds of things. That I don't think I would think was very interesting, sort of this Second Life kind of idea.
I know by asking this question I'm potentially robbing you of future sponsors and supporters, but damn it, you are being interrogated right now.
I could be nice about it. When it comes to themes, I admit personally I struggle with games that are very, 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 very realistic, like really realistic, like simulate-y, and here's I admit, GURPS. It's a good system. Play it seriously. Play it. It's adaptable. You can play any game you want in it. It can be fun. I've played a few games of it, and I just get lost. There's so many +2 to this, +1 to that, +5 to this, -2 to this, -7 to that. If you want to invest in points in this, it's 10 points, but then it's 12 points. I'm gone. I'm lost. The math, the skills, I'm lost. And yeah.
So you definitely favour narrative heavy games. That probably benefits the medium of actual play as well.
Yes, exactly. And I'd also say that again personally, I do like a bit of realism. I think, for example, with a great GM like Mattiaz, we've also, for example, No Man's, Martin in that case, they know what they're talking about, and so I go with it. But as a DM, I can't do you go down to the police station and you have to file the form, and then, by the way, here's the legislation law, and I go a bit, oh, okay.
It can be very difficult as a GM to make bureaucracy interesting. It's one of those fine lines, like in a movie like Brazil, that some of you may have seen, where it's an absolute bureaucratic nightmare, alternate universe or near future kind of sci-fi, and it's that kind of movie does it spectacularly well, where the grind of bureaucracy is very evocative. Games like Slay Industries, which is currently on Kickstarter, that's a Nightfall Games RPG, are wonderfully blend the mundane of things like corporate sponsorship with the splatterpunk of blowing up carnivorous pigs and cannibals. But it's the way you do it, the way you're shot doing it, making sure that the gun you're using at that time is the one you've been sponsored to use, because then you'll get more sponsorship and more fan mail and things like that. It's a very cynical kind of game, but I don't know, that might fill the need if you have one. But what about you, Mattiaz? Is there any kind of game you're not interested in?
I think what I really love doing the most is to really prepare a big campaign, really read up on a place, on a time period, and sort of think of cool locations, put together descriptions, kind of prepare quite a lot. I enjoy that, and I enjoy also then putting that into practice and having the characters experience that and sort of guide the story in a way through what I want to tell. So I very much prefer the more traditional games, and I would say if there's anything that I probably don't prefer as much, it is the ones where it's very much improvised, where it's very much you just come up with something on the spot, right there, right then, and you just create something in the moment. And I think it can probably be really cool to and fun to play, and of course it takes away all this prep that can, I mean, of course, take quite a long time, but I never feel that comfortable with that improvisation. I've never really felt like I can truly tell the story that I want to tell that way. I cannot describe things in the way that I want to describe them. The words don't sort of come to me in the way that I would like. So I tend to probably avoid those improvisation heavy games. Not to say that I don't improvise. Of course, you have to whenever you're role playing, but not the ones where you're just sort of creating something. You come in with zero prep and then you just do something. That is not something that I'm immediately drawn to, at least. But I'd love to find a game that changes my mind on that, because you know, having a few more hours when you're not prepping stuff would of course be nice.
I mean, for example, it's funny because I quite like the game Blades in the Dark, but I acknowledge after reading it a few times and I tried to play it with some friends, I don't think I'm very good at running it, because improvised heists are actually really hard. For me, I was thinking, actually, this is hard. Shit, what, you know, because when it's all prepped out, you have, you know, all these cool buildings and ways, but Blades of the Dark is very much, if you're not familiar, it's a game of like, oh yeah, you sort of go in and the heist just happens and cool stuff happens in a cool Victorian underground, not underground, a sort of like World of Darkness type gritty setting. But yeah, I found it really hard to run, and then I kind of feel I might not run it again because it's hard.
No, it's not always a game I get on with. The structure of Blades in the Dark isn't a system that I favour, and I don't mean in the sense of the dice you roll and the challenges and things like that. I mean in the way the game is laid out, with almost one phase for planning, one phase for the heist, which, as you say, you're just dropped into, or whatever the scenario happens to be. It creates a certain dissonance, I found, between myself and my players when I try and do it, because they're so used to role-playing the journey. And that's just, I run for quite a lot of gaming groups, and it just seems to be something they all enjoy, whereas Blades in the Dark takes the view, and people can correct me, listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, and it's not a critique of the game, by the way, or criticism, this is just my opinion, that Blades in the Dark removes that element. It encourages you to focus on the action, not necessarily combat, but your character's doing, whereas my preference is an awful lot of the introspection that comes with time alone with the player characters and maybe one or two NPCs, because that's, for me, what draws character out of the PCs more than... Which again, I
found annoying, because I love the book. It's a great book. The setting's great. The concept, the rules, great. I love the artwork. I love the characters. Like, I was loving it. I want to play it. I want to have someone who's a better DM than me run it for me, and I can play. Yeah.
Well, that won't be me.
And also, just for fun, because you said in the world of Onyx Path, this is purely personal preference. I don't get mages. They're hard. I get vampires, I get werewolves, hell, I can get mummies, ghosts, all of them. Mages, I'm like, all these spells, so many. What do you do with them? How do they work? How do you make this?
Why is it so different from any fantasy setting mages?
I think because the mages are the most... Well, what do you think, Matthew? I think for me, from what I've read of mage is the most like it's all about mortals, but they're not mortals. And they have all the most conspiracies, but they're all... Yeah, there's so many, and yeah.
Well... I think both mage games, Ascension and Awakening, are fairly divisive when it comes to fan bases, because if you got into World of Darkness with Vampire or Wraith, which is obviously far less common, you're less likely, and this is purely anecdotal on my part to then get into mage, whereas if you get in with mage, I find that you're far less likely to enjoy vampire, because both have a very different take on the world in which you live. Mage in both incarnations is arguably urban fantasy, and while there are horrific elements, the game isn't strictly a horror game, and so much like with Changing the Dreaming, in some ways, it can leave existing fans feeling a bit nonplussed. They think, I just don't get it. I don't understand how this works. It isn't as structured as the other World of Darkness games. It's the punishment for being a shit isn't as obvious unless you're going around throwing paradoxical magic, vulgar magic here and there and everywhere. It's just not so readily visible as it is in Vampire if you diablerize someone, for instance, or in Werewolf who would do that? Or Werewolf if you rage constantly, and Wraith has its shadow, and so on.
Yeah, who would? But I mean, to me, it sounds very appealing. I've just heard about Mage, and we have had sort of glimpses of it when we played sort of mix and mash kind of World of Darkness games, where we had elements of sort of everything that happens. And to me, it seems very appealing. I find that almost any game can be appealing as long as you're with the right group and has the right style of it. I find that as long as you don't need to get into a game with a certain knowledge, then I'll enjoy it. But I don't particularly enjoy games where, if I can't play certain characters because I don't know this and that, because then you would have to rely on the GM for that. I mean, not saying that I would want to go into a game where I would know, my character would know more than the other player characters, and the other players would know more than me, and I would automatically be at sort of a disadvantage. But I like it when I can feel that I play a character who knows his things, with the help of a good game master or storyteller. That's someone that...
One could say that any of those games with, whether it's World of Darkness with clans and tribes and traditions, or Planescape with factions, which I know you've played Planescape recently, both have a certain amount of in-setting investment that the players kind of need, because the world is so already fleshed out. It doesn't have to be that way, but often it feels like to get the most out of this World of Darkness or out of Sigil or the Plains, you kind of need to know a little bit about what you're signing up for. Because players, to use Planescape as an example, if you're using the factions in Planescape, which again is a very divisive part of the setting. Some people hate factions. I'm personally a big fan of them, but they were based on clans from Vampire. There's a tidbit of information. The fact that someone's going to come up to you and tell you all the gods are frauds. Gods aren't real, and we are the Athar. We believe in powers, but we don't believe in gods, and if there is a god, it's unknowable. Come join our faction. Now, most fantasy characters aren't going to buy that, and there's very little reason for a player to make their character buy into that unless they have gone in with the preconception that they're going to play a member of the Athar, because it's quite a... strong view to have in a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy setting, and yet they're one of the great factions of Planescape, much like Dustmen, who believe everyone is dead already. You're just on a different level of death depending on how far into the faction you get. If you're a cleric of the god of life or rebirth, Lathander or something like that from the Forgotten Realms, you're going to maybe struggle a little with that ethos. But on the subject of Onyx Path games, as you started talking about Mage, let's talk a little about the games we have played. I'm going to ask you to do something which is very, I guess, self-congratulatory for me. For the audience, I have now run for these fine fellows. They came from Beneath the Sea. set in Lovecraftian. It was Alabama, wasn't
Denton,
it?
Alabama.
Denton, Alabama. Never was there more of a nice, sweet town of nice, sweet people with no secrets. So they came from beneath the sea. We had a short Scarred Lands campaign as well. I have been running Kult Divinity Lost, which of course isn't an Onyx Path game, but we can talk about that a little. And I'm currently playing with them in a game of V5 Chicago by Night, run by Clara Horskier-Herbel. There will, in future, be an actual play of V5 Cults of the Blood Gods if the stars align, and I'm sure they will. And we certainly hope to do an actual play of Mummy the Curse 2nd edition, if possible. Certainly I would be very eager to do something like that. But before we get on to that, I want you guys to blow my trumpet and and say, what were your favourite bits of They Came From Beneath the Sea, for instance, whether it's mechanical, whether it's setting-wise, what was it about that game that you enjoyed?
I enjoyed how mind-bending it was at times when we sort of took the system and made it into a horror system and took these three old ones that were watching over us, and how reality was impossibly twisted due to it being directed by an unknown hand. And I really felt that, all of our minds sort of went along with that strange transformation of reality, just accepting, because how the human mind has to accept what happens or it will break, and how to deal with that in particular. I definitely enjoyed that. When we as players got invested in the system and understood how it meant, like, we're going to use the rewrites to create this, to make this happen, impossibly falling through the floor as it goes up in flames, something that was originally made out of concrete, and you make that up, and then you also at the same time have to deal with it as your character. How do I react to what I've just made for myself? That was, to me, kind of mind-blowing.
And I really enjoyed the characters and the way that you were able to portray them, and the accent that you put on was really, really perfect. It really felt like we were in Alabama. And there were so many like lovable characters, but they all had a secret. They all had a darkness in them. And then there were some really nasty characters, some really like mean characters that treated our characters like shit. And it was really fun to interact with both of those types of NPCs. And you started caring about the characters, which doesn't always happen. And unfortunately, many of them met a rather grisly end. So it was sad. I felt legitimately sad. So well done on creating those, like drawing those characters and making them come to life.
Well, you came face to face with one of my three accents, which is generic Southerner. Although I have recently been told that technically Alabama is southeast and not south, but there you go. What about you, Craig? Was there anything that stood out?
Yes. So as well as, again, enjoying the system, as I've said before, I love that. For me, It Came From Beneath the Sea had the perfect level of interesting narrative rules, but they were still not just, as you said, complete improvisation. They weren't like, this ability, you could just do anything. It was, this ability, you could introduce a character who has this purpose and these special rules. And that is great. That, to me, is great. That's just enough rule for the game element, but still an interesting, rather than like, oh, this character now has +1 strength. It's like, no, this character is a cool NPC who has a story, and then they... Yeah.
Oh... Yeah, you introduced the little bow on the bike. I think that was that Hjalmar that
Charlie
did that.
Björklund.
Oh,
And well, even...
Yeah.
even the,
creepiest child ever.
Even the
that was so
flashback mechanic, though, like, again, actually, that's one thing I did like in Blaze of the Dark. It was a similar system here. I love the, have a flashback where you can set things up, and you can then have a bit of character, a bit of story, but then there's a game mechanic to actually, and then this now helps you in the scene. And I feel that sort of thing, it just gives you, it just opens up possibility for things like, not saying in other games you don't can't have flashbacks. But, it's a bit like, why would you have a flashback? Well, here's like, we wanted Hjalmar to have a cool flashback, because it's like, that will help us. Hjalmar, have a flashback, Mattiaz, have a flashback.
I was wondering if we would. I was wondering if we'd ever start fighting over the rewrites, but somehow we didn't. Somehow we kind of managed to split that up.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to refer back to something that Mattiaz was saying about the great old ones that were possessing your characters. That when I introduced that concept, which isn't in They Came From Beneath the Sea as written, but is a very easy thing to add into the game, and may well be added should we do a horror version, is that it could have very easily overtaken play if you were going around feeling like Nyarlathotep. But all credit to the three of you as role players for essentially spicing that stuff in rather than letting it drown out who your character was. It only emerged once or twice per character throughout the entire campaign.
Yeah.
And that seemed to work because it meant that for the most part they were just humans experiencing terror.
It felt important that those old ones were not our characters, but rather something watching over the characters and having an agenda for the characters. And I think that's how you presented it, that we weren't really acting them, but we were rather that their invisible hand was there in case we messed up. And like you mentioned there, the flashbacks, Craig, how fun it is that those flashbacks they hadn't happened before we put them in there. That was one of the old ones suddenly changing, history, changing of what had happened, right? That's how it worked. And suddenly you had this thing in your car, and you put in like ringing sounds and nosebleeds and stuff like that because something changed that wasn't supposed to change.
So shall we move on to Scarred Lands?
Yes, but I want to add one very quick thing. I also just like the setting, the time setting, the whole 1950s monster movie, sci-fi, especially for the way we did it. I was like, I want this to be like a 1950s radio show. Like, and next week on Tales from the Abyss, we have to find the machine boy. Oh, if we can, sir. Like that was the vibe I wanted to go with, because that was how I felt you could have it still be, as you said, a bit more horrifying than the default setting, but also still homage some of the lightheartedness of the actual game. Again, the people doing those things thought they were serious, but by today's standards, they are still, they're like, what? Come, let's go to the handy nuclear laboratory just down the road.
It felt very fresh to me. Refreshing to play in the sort of 50s era, because not many role-playing games. Or at least I don't think I've ever played a role-playing game that takes place in that time before.
It's quite rare, and I think it was great also that you brought in some of the real darkness from that era as well, like the Red Scare and McCarthyism and that stuff. We made that into a theme as well, and I think that meshed very well then with the more lighthearted aspects of life in this southeastern small town. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And Craig, it's nice that you've grown attached to the term machine boy, because I think you're going to have to grow used to it in another game. So Scarred Lands, I'm a big fan of the Scarred Lands setting, and I really enjoyed running it for you. In fact, I very rarely get a chance to run Dungeons and Dragons these days because my common gaming groups tend to play other things. But obviously it was a setting with a slight difference for you guys. Was there anything about that game that stood out? Anything about the setting that you enjoyed?
I really enjoyed the concept of the ancient gods, the titans, and how the world was sort of formed around that. I also really enjoyed the attempt to, proper make the character species a little different. I mean, okay, we had an elf, some elves and dwarves, but, they were still... I tried to make it a bit more interesting because... As our listeners will know, we play D&D, but we've played Curse of Strahd, an adventure set in a realm completely like its own, the Ravenloft realms, a very different sort of story style. And even in the newest one we're doing, Journey to Avernus, that adventure, everyone's commenting, "Oh, we're seeing the multiverse, completely different." It's not just the default setting, which I used, Forgotten Realms. It's okay. It has some fun bits. It has some bits that are a bit like, okay, yeah, the elves live here, the dwarves do that, yada yada. So I really liked just the initial concept of Skarn. I was enjoying just that. Sort of, the world felt a lot more deserty and post-apocalyptic-y, and it worked on different tropes to, here are the elves in the elf kingdom and the dwarves in the dwarf kingdom,
and perhaps slightly menacing as well, with all knowing that these slumbering titans existing, and also knowing that there are some trying to revive them in secret, and there is a lot of politics in the backstory. And sort of being thrown straight into the more of a fire rack. I was about to say fire crack.
I can't remember. It was a fire rack dragon. It was Craig that kept saying a fire crack dragon.
Fire crag, thank you very much.
Fire crack.
Yeah, so, well, fire, as I think I mentioned, fire crag is a red dragon in Baldur's Gate 2. But yeah, is that fire rack dragon was not. And yeah, to be fair, your dwarf got incinerated pretty early on, and that was
completely
because
our
of
fault.
Dwarf with a huge, rich backstory.
Yeah. Yeah, that he was supposed to be your in to the plot, and you just sacrificed him to a dragon in the first session. It was quite good fun.
I think maybe also that scenario, because you were put under a lot of pressure, it helped create this sort of menacing feel for the world.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Like there was a dragon that was going to eat us if we didn't do this heist. So these like kind of funny lizard folk and this rat man came together and they tried to pull off this heist, knowing that if they didn't succeed they would die. And it was a nice mixture of kind of funny character bits, but also some very serious situations and as we actually did the heist, some really disturbing and dark stuff, which was great. So yeah, I would love to go back to Skarn to see what happens to our little heist crew there.
Exactly. I would definitely say
I never fully. Yeah.
I definitely agree with Mattiaz on the heist itself. That was just great. That dungeon I was like, we're going to die. We're going to die. These traps seem so like it was that wonderful element of we just about got past those things by the skin of our teeth, and it felt one wrong roll, and it'd be like, yep, you get crushed to death by this room that's turning into an ice room, and then a fire room, and then an earth room. It was like, fuck. And that monster. Yeah,
I was surprised you survived, honestly.
Yeah, it did feel like you didn't really fully intend for us to be able to pull that off.
Not all of you. I anticipated maybe one of you escaping with the suit of armor, and the other two of you being burnt in their wake. But no, you banded together at the end. You acted as a team. You did sacrifice one of the NPCs in your party. But someone needed to wear his skin.
There was, I don't remember who it was, but someone getting almost trapped in the sort of closing. The building itself is starting to just meld into a solid mass, and there was someone. You had to roll like 3 dexterity checks, and you passed. Not to get stuck in there. It was like that was really by the skin of our teeth. And when you announced that we would continue that adventure, I mean, somewhere down the line that there would be a part 2. I was very excited because I felt already sort of invested in that character and those things around it, and I felt like there's more I'm not familiar with. And I wasn't really sure if if I felt like I was playing, Dungeons and Dragons, or if I felt like I was playing something different. It's like taking one of these old computer games that we mentioned. Like if you're playing Planescape Torment, or if you're playing Baldur's Gate, it feels like different places, even though we've got the same sort of characters and races and things like that going on.
Well, we're running short on time, so I don't know whether we'll get enough time to wax poetical about Kult and Chicago, which, of course, are currently in progress anyway, so we shouldn't speak too highly of them. They may go horribly wrong. I know one of them is going to go horribly wrong for at least some characters in it. In fact, all characters in it, and that's... No, in fact, that might happen in both. But yeah, I'm not running Chicago, so... Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be intending to run Cults of the Blood Gods for you,
Yes.
Which is an upcoming V5 release, and doing the same for Mummy. Now, what, if anything, are you anticipating about these books, these games?
Well, I'm anticipating Clan Hecate. I probably said that wrong. Hecate? Hecatat?
Yeah. It's the Hecata.
Carter. Clan of Carter. Go, go, go.
But that's all right. You can play. You'll be a caitiff, just dragged along on the outside because you can't pronounce the name correctly.
Oh, damn it.
You were a member of the Hecata, but not anymore.
Okay, in that case, I'll just be Clan Giovanni. I know them okay. That was easy to say.
Technically, it's Giovanni, but I could do this all day.
You could be dragged along the Clan Giovanni if someone couldn't pronounce the name correctly. You got lots of advantage, Craig.
Well, Hjalmar, maybe one day. I have pronunciation problems. You'll notice in our D&D thing, I'm pretty sure I'm saying the city's like Turiel, and I'm pretty sure it's pronounced like Turiel or something. And I'm just like, it's my game. I can pronounce how I want.
Yes, it's your game.
Fancy names.
I'm really looking forward to Mummy, actually, because I've only sort of found out that Mummy was a thing that existed within the world of darkness, and it just seemed like mummies, like these just dudes wrapped in like toilet paper. I mean, but it's not, right? It's so much more than that. So I really can't wait for you to
this one
to show us what that's all about.
I think they actually.
Well, this one's going to be the Chronicles of Darkness Mummy. And toilet paper or cloth, interchangeable, really. But yeah, that's well, in a pinch, either will do, honestly. But yeah, Mummy the Cursed Second Edition is shaping up to be very, very nice. I'm developing that book, and it is currently in development as of time of recording, but probably won't be for much longer. And that's a game that is going to be getting quite cosmic in its scope. It always had that potential in first edition, but I know some people know about this already, but one of the central conceits of Mummy the Cursed Second Edition is it's the timeless chronicle, which is due to the fact mummies wake up periodically throughout time, and it's usually because their cults summon them, or it's because their tombs are disturbed, but in second edition they don't wake up in linear order. They don't fall asleep in 1200 CE and the next time they wake up is in 1444. They may fall asleep in 1444 and the next time they wake up, they happen to be in Constantinople during the rise of Islam in 550 CE. And your characters waking up with minimal memory but godlike powers. As the chronicle goes on, your powers decrease as your memory increases. And you can start using talents that you have picked up in the future, in the past.
Wow.
Because these characters are displaced from time. That's the point. They are vessels of their gods. You can see where I got some of that from. Or the judges, I should say. And they are placed wherever the judges want to put them. So yeah, it's a horror game of not only memory but also just not knowing where you are or why you're there almost each time. It's a game of confusion, but hopefully really fun cool. Confusion.
I think it's super cool.
Well, we should probably sign off shortly, so I would like to say thank you very much, each of you, for coming along for this interview. It's been a lot of fun. Is there anything the three of you, and it can be anything at all, wish to promote before you go? Like, for instance, your website, or indeed any products or any particular actual place?
All right, yeah, so you can find us on redmoonroleplaying.com. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Roleplaying. We're everywhere where you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube by searching for Red Moon Roleplaying. So all of our episodes are available there. So you can have that running in the background while you're playing a video game or whatever it is that you want to be doing. So we have released about 180, it's almost 185 episodes now of various games. And I think what we have going right now that we think you should definitely check out is, of course, Chicago by Night and The Sacrifice with Clara as a storyteller. And that is also visible on the Onyx Path YouTube. So you can follow that there as well. And then we think we should also look into our other sort of main campaign that we're running right now, which is Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, which is the latest Dungeons & Dragons campaign. And we'll be running through all of that one as well. So if you like the games that we've talked about today, like Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment, the adventure starts in Baldur's Gate. We'll be moving through some of the planes at least, and we're utilizing the music from those games. We've gotten permission from Beamdog to use the music for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and for Planescape Torment as well. So you'll be able to get a lot of that nostalgia, going back to those games when you're listening to this. So definitely check that out.
Fantastic. And Craig? Is there anything left?
Well, I echo everything. I echo everything Mattiaz said, but let's make it interesting, I guess. What am I? Well, I'm currently in the world of video gaming, playing Age of Decadence for the 20th time. That's a fun little RPG. Check that out on a Steam sale anytime. And I also just kickstarted recently Heart, the City Beneath by Grant Howitt, which just looks freaking awesome. And again, looks like the sort of game I've been discussing today, of another really cool horror sort of game with a little bit of lots of a sort of like narrative take on dungeon delving, but with narration and crazy stuff and beam necromancers. So there you go. Check that out. That's the sort of things I'm currently interested in. And then, of course, yes, please do listen to our show and the Onyx Path show. And actually, and there's a sale on Drive for RPG of the 20th anniversary.
You're doing my job for me, Craig. Yes, all the 20th anniversary products and Storyteller's Vault products are currently on sale on Drive Through RPG. So yeah, people should definitely check that out. A lot of my work's up there. So damn it, do it. It's not like I don't get royalties, but I do like reviews, as long as they're not horrible. And Hjalmar, other than your star turn in Pinocchio.
Yes, exactly. Feel free to come to those if you happen to be in London. Look out for that. And I could wrap it up by saying that we're trying to open up a little bit more for commissioned games as well. So if you are a representative of a games company or the like, or know someone who is curious about possibly having their game played and creating an actual play episode for that with editing and music and everything like that, do feel free to get in contact with us. We've had the fortune to work with some amazing people, including you, Matthew from Onyx Path, and now getting more in contact with Wizards of the Coast people. Not to mention all of our sort of plethora of games that we have been able to play with publishers and games testers and so on. So yes, get into contact with us if you want to hear us play something.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, guys. And I will be turning this now back to an alternate dimension version of myself, Eddy, and Dixie. And we're back as if we never left.
Whew.
Probably because we didn't leave.
I ran after that bus for a long time.
Yeah. And, we want to know a secret, listeners. We've not even interviewed them yet.
The magic is ruined.
Yeah, once again. Now, just due to the peculiarities of timing, we're recording the intro and outro before the interview. Just because there's several guests, everyone's got to be available at the same time, that kind of thing. So I can edit this outro after the fact. So that was a really excellent, moderate, poor, disappointing interview. Didn't you think?
Yeah, it was fascinating, informative, funny, silly, and distressing.
Which part did you find the most funny, informative, interesting, distressing, Dixie?
There was that part like halfway through when the one guy said that thing.
Oh,
I love that part. That was great.
Well, that just goes to show what a subjective medium this is. Now that we've covered the interview, I'm sure it will be good. We have rapport, myself and the Red Moon Roleplaying guys. Well, I say that. But
It's so
they may
good.
disagree.
It's so good it distressed me because I feel like we shouldn't do a podcast anymore. It should just be them.
Ooh.
Nice.
Distressed.
Yeah, you feel the bar has been raised.
Yeah, and I'm really short. So, like, if you raise the bar over about 5'8", I can't reach it.
So it's a physical bar now. You're taking this very seriously. You have installed a bar in your home just to make yourself feel diminished.
And the bar actually says on it, Red Moon Rising. I mean, like, that's written on the bar.
Well, that'll be
Yeah,
odd because their name's Red Moon Roleplaying.
Right. See,
Unless...
there was a mistake at the bar manufacturer.
Or they could have just been saying it to diminish Dixie because they're saying Red Moon's rising, Onyx Pathcast falling.
Well, yeah, Red Moon did rise because the bar went up.
Yeah.
And now I can't reach it. I had to have my roommate move it for me. She's 5'10".
Could do. Are you going to?
No, I mean, I already did. I can't reach it anymore. I just look at it. I just walk under it all the time and think about how I'll never attain such lofty heights.
Well, listeners, it's up to you to rejuvenate our confidence. You need to tell everyone you know about the Onyx Pathcast, or at least the people interested in gaming. You need to
everyone
post
you know. Everyone you run
People on
into
the
at the
streets,
store.
yeah.
Just random people.
Wear a sandwich board, like one of those weird judicial punishments that occasionally occurs in American cities where they make you wear a sandwich board that says, I didn't pay 13 parking tickets, and you'll walk around the block where you didn't pay your parking tickets with the sandwich board and people will judge you.
I have literally never seen that.
Yeah, me either. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've seen it happen on TV, but as we know, TV isn't always an accurate reflection of reality.
I am shocked.
Maybe that should be the message for this episode.
I thought TV was real.
It's still real to me.
No, I'm sad.
The TV itself is real. But maybe one day it won't be. Maybe one day we'll be having holographic TVs projected into our home with holographic broadcasts being broadcasted onto or via the hologram.
That was very clear and succinct. I appreciate that.
Well, that's why I'm writing for Cyberpunk, and you're not. No,
Ouch.
no, I'm not writing for Cyberpunk, but, my inbox is always open.
Hustle.
Yeah. So yes. Well, now that the grimness to do with the interview is out of the way,
It was very grim.
It was.
And distressing, apparently.
Grim, distressing, interesting, intriguing, and all of the rest. We haven't for quite a while talked about some of the games we're currently working on. Some of the products we're currently delving into from different perspectives, different points along the process line. So how about you, Dixie? I saw recently you posted your first authorial credit.
Yeah. That was from Witch Queen of the Shadowed Citadel, which is a kind of setting supplement / adventure for Cavaliers of Mars. It's kind of a funny story, actually. I wrote a short setting piece for the core book, and it didn't make it in. It was a file mishap on someone's end. So instead, Rose had me redo it for this and add a bunch of word count to it and add a bunch of characters and a bunch of locations. And then Steffi Devan wrote the actual adventure at the end. So it's just a 2-person project. It was super, super, super fun, though. And I like playing around in Cavaliers of Mars because you do get to be a little bit flamboyant with your words. Because it's supposed to evoke that kind of like adventure novel from 100+ years ago. So that was a lot of fun because I tend to be a more restrained writer. The other 2 things that I've written have been much more informative, just hear plain words that say things. But that one was fun because I got to be a bit overwrought on purpose. And yeah, I had a really good time with that. Past that, I am editing a whole bunch of stuff right now. I don't want to even call out what I'm working on because I have too many things in my my folder. We're having one of those moments right now where a bunch of stuff kind of slid into editing right as I thought I was getting things off my plate. So instead of going like, oh, I've got a few weeks to get these last couple things off my plate, I'm like, oh, now I have more things. Okay. All right.
I certainly claim some of the responsibility for that happening.
Both of you do.
Yeah. I wish I could say sorry and mean it. I could say sorry, but yeah, there would be no sincerity.
Well, that's one thing about our jobs is that, like, you two clearing stuff off your plate sometimes puts more things on me, and vice versa, So, like, we all have to deal with that balance.
Yeah, in all honesty, none of us like to see mountains of work stack up for any of our colleagues. But yeah, it does seem to be, it is just part of the process that as we occupy different places along the production line at times, especially if in some weird, wonderful universe, I'm writing for one of Eddy's books that Eddy is developing and Dixie is editing, like, for instance, that was Monarchies of Mao, I think. We all get to work on it at some point or other. Or in fact, I don't know, Dixie, whether you'll be editing any of the upcoming V5 books that we've done.
I don't know. I am deciding.
Okay. Well, Eddy worked on at least one of them.
Oh, cool. But yeah, it is one of the things where I have to kind of look at my project list and go, what do I feel more comfortable letting other people do? Because there are some, like, not many people besides me have looked at StoryPath yet from an editing perspective. So I tend to do a lot of the StoryPath stuff. And with Exalted, I feel more comfortable with just me doing it because it's got a lot of terms that are weird. And I can go in the Slack and verify things if I need to, and not all editors can do that.
Right.
But some of the Chronicles and like V5 stuff, aside from the mechanics, at least the language is very much rooted in the real world. So it's a little bit easier to let somebody else do it. Of course, then you have the problem where, like, if someone else doesn't fact check as much as I do, then they might also miss things. So who knows? Everything is a gamble.
That's true.
And what about you, Eddy?
The editing out the window.
Relating to that, actually, the project prioritization, I did have 4 different Scion books all hit approval at basically the same time.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's been interesting to, because for those that know, for our internal process, even though we own Scion, we still have Rich and Neil go through the approvals. Same way for Trinity, we have Ian and Rich go through all the manuscripts. So it was first like, okay, which book do we prioritize? Then reading one book gave us thoughts on another book. It's something that doesn't usually happen. Usually we do these very much serialized, and sometimes there's months or weeks between them. But it was an interesting process in the sense of, okay, this book is relatively clean, so let's get that put together and get that off. This book, we had more of a discussion about, so it's time to actually talk about that book. And doing that all while also not confusing which book is which. It was an interesting challenge. I don't want to repeat it very often, but it was one of those things where some books ran early, some books ran late, so they all kind of just hit in that spot.
Yep. I've seen it happen a couple times with various lines. I'm kind of worried it's going to happen with Exalted, where, like, I'm going to all of a sudden have, like, 4 new Exalted books on my plate. I already have, like, 2 fiction books I have to work on.
Right. Yeah, so that was fun. But aside from that, speaking of books you all worked on, Pirates of Pugmire is off to layouts. And so I've been chatting with Mike and Rich a little bit about that. Also, I'm working with Josh Heath, who's writing the Stretch Goal adventure, which slots in between the second and third adventures in the Pirates book. Because I realized that we had not really done much with Dalmatian Cove, so I actually have a whole adventure set just in Dalmatian Cove, so people have a chance to actually play with that material as well. And then, Aberrant was the other kind of big thing I worked on recently. We had a lot of really good feedback from the Kickstarter backers during our playtest phase. We had over 250 comments. Some were redundant and some were things like typos and whatnot, but still, we definitely saw some certain trends in the commentary. And that's one of the reasons why I personally like doing that kind of blind commentary as opposed to, like, say, a forum thread, is
Right.
because being able to see 8 people say, I have issues with this material, and also all of them slightly different perspectives on what their issue was, gave me a more robust view of what the problem was than just one person going, I have a problem with this, everyone going, yeah, me too. Or even not saying anything because somebody else already mentioned it. So that was good. And I mean, honestly, a lot of people really liked the book. It was definitely along the lines of, this is one of the more complicated books we've done in a while. Particularly it's the most complicated book for Trinity. So getting a chance to actually get all that stuff nailed down, really think through some of the nuances, getting some feedback and playtest stuff on stuff. I think the book's going to be much stronger than it would have been otherwise. So I really do appreciate time and effort put into it. But we're going to take a couple of months to actually rewrite some sections of the book to make sure that it's the best it can be.
Well, I will look forward to seeing it. I'm very excited to see Aberrant in its final version, I have to say. Aberrant and Pirates of Pugmire.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be great books.
Yeah, well, I am very nearly done with Cult of the Blood Gods from a development perspective. As of time of recording, it is back with White Wolf for its secondary round of approvals.
Take your time, White Wolf. I don't want it yet.
Please send it back because I want it off my plate. But as I mentioned several episodes back, I've been recording a development diary for this book, and I've been careful I'm not releasing any information that is going to lead anyone to being disappointed or any NDAs being broken or anything like that. But yeah, once it comes back, I think we should be in a place where, unless we hold on to it until we start getting art in, it might be fun to release that one. We'll see. We've probably got about an hour worth of footage for it, or recording of it.
Cool.
Look forward to hearing that, because I know this was a challenging book in a few different ways.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned on the Onyx Path News before, which is on our YouTube channel right now, but will be starting on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Onyx Path. Listeners, do follow. That when you're dealing with a licensed property, and we will no doubt handle this in a separate episode at length at some point, there is the guarantee that the person who owns that license is going to want some say over what you create. That's to be expected. It doesn't come as a shock. It's not insulting.
Right.
If you write some material and you send it off for approval, the reason you're sending it off for approval is so they have the right of refusal, so they have the right to suggest amendments. Sometimes you're going to agree with them, sometimes you're not. You can obviously debate that kind of thing, discuss that kind of thing, and I have. And sometimes, especially when you're dealing with a license as complicated as Vampire, because there's a lot of different products coming out for it right now across various mediums. We started writing this book at the beginning of the year. In that time, there have been pitches accepted and work started on video games, board games, card games, and all of them touch on some of the things that are in Cults of the Blood Gods. Mm-hmm. So it gets time to approval, and by that point, some of the information you've written is no longer necessarily accurate. It might need subtle tweaks, it might need overhauls. And it's not always fun for the developer to do that because it can require a lot of rewriting. But it is a necessary step on the journey of dealing with a licensed property. So I've already had that long conversation with Karim at White Wolf, who some of you listeners will know, and we've made some adjustments, and now it's back with him to see whether he's happy with them.
Yeah, I do think actually it might be worth us doing an episode about the nuances of working with a license, because both of you obviously are working on licensed books. And also I've been on both sides of that, both working on licenses, also owning a license. So yeah, I think it might be worth spending an episode talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
You've both fought the man and been the man, Eddy.
It's true. I didn't sell out, I bought in.
Yeah.
Are you quoting SLC Punk now on this,
Yes, I am.
on this podcast? All right.
Well, anyway, we should probably get going, because I imagine, just as a guess, that interview probably ran around an hour in length.
Also, the bus
who
is
knows?
leaving. The bus. Look, Matthew, the bus.
It's the bus. Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Sorry, I'm stuck here with you two again.
I tried to get rid of him, Eddy. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Well, in the meantime, if other people want to find you, Dixie, where do they look online?
At DixieCochran.com or Dixie Cyanide on most social media.
And what about you, Eddy?
You can find me at pugstudy.com or my social media links are on that website.
And you can find me on MatthewDawkins.com, and I mentioned it just a minute ago, but please do follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Onyx Path. We have some kind of recording going up almost every single day of the week.
Yeah.
Usually actual plays, some deep dives too. Character Creation Month coming up in October. It's a very exciting time for our Twitch channel.
We also have 2 Kickstarters running right now. There's the Scarred Lands Creature Collection Kickstarter on the new Onyx Path Kickstarter account. And then on the regular Richard Thomas account that we usually use for our Kickstarters, we're doing Deviant the Renegades, which is a brand new core book for Chronicles of Darkness. It's a whole new game. It's one that we haven't ever done before, so it's not a second edition. I'm super excited about it. I think it's very, very cool. And I would encourage you to check it out. Like most of our Kickstarters, if you back it for $5, you can see the manuscript and see if you want to actually get the book or not.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get Eric Zawadzki back on the Pathcast, get him, because he loves talking about Deviant. We want to get him to talk more about it and do a nice, proper deep dive on Deviant the next week or so.
Yeah, he is the developer of it. So much like we interviewed Neil as his work overall, and also did a Scion deep dive kind of thing with him. Same thing with Eric. So expect more of those in the future.
Those are fun.
Well, with that said, many worlds, one Pathcast.